was a little bit of a curveball.
That's all right. I'm good.
Okay. Good morning, folks. Hey, John. Guys? Good morning, everybody. A couple of items that are not related to why we're here, and we're here for a pretty exciting announcement. But before I get to that, I wanted to just open with a couple of quick comments on other topics. First of all, we're going to have some really nasty weather later today. So everybody, please be forewarned. Looks like the window is sort of in the 4 to 7 p.m. range. Go to ready.nj.gov for any information. But it's fast moving, which is a good thing, but it's a lot of rain and very high winds. That's the expectation. So please, everybody, please be forewarned and be careful. Separately, with a very heavy heart, I want to briefly address the horrific instances of gun violence which occurred this weekend that have left more Americans dead and injured. More than 20 people shot in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where basketball fans were gathered outside an arena for the NBA playoffs. 1 killed and 5 wounded in a church in Laguna Woods, California. 2 dead and 3 wounded at a flea market in Houston, Texas. And as Ed and I were just discussing, the tragedy in Buffalo, New York, where an 18-year-old white supremacist pumped full of racist and nationalist conspiracies targeted black residents doing nothing more than shopping for their groceries, shooting 13 and killing 10 in what cannot call anything but an act of domestic terrorism. So cue the expected and pitiful expressions of thoughts and prayers from those held so powerfully in the grip of the gun lobby. And as it pertains to Buffalo, cue the hurried backpedaling from the right-wing talking heads and politicians who have so freely and openly peddled the garbage replacement conspiracy. I can't bring myself to call it a theory, and who can't possibly believe that the words that poisoned our airwaves and rotted our civil dialogue with could actually come home to roost. I think every single one of them knows where they could shove their thoughts and prayers. Again, it is well past time for outrage and action. Again, it is well past time for Congress to step up and pass real nationwide gun safety legislation. And here in New Jersey, where I am proud of the stands we've made for gun safety, I call again on the legislature to pass our Gun Safety 3.0 package of legislation to not only make it harder for guns to fall into the wrong hands, but just as importantly, to give law enforcement greater tools to protect communities. We cannot continue to relive the headlines of The Onion, and this is an actual headline, meant, by the way, as a joke. No way to prevent this, says only nation where this regularly happens. We can prevent it. We can prevent it by committing to passing strong laws, and we can prevent it at the ballot box by electing candidates at every level, but especially in the House and Senate, firmly committed to common sense gun safety. This is the time to say where you stand. There could be no safe place for any candidate or any elected official seeking wiggle room on guns to hide. Wiggle room is how we end up with 16 dead Americans in one fitful weekend, more than half of whom were targeted just because they were black. This is another mournful week in America. How many more people have to senselessly die before we wake up? How many more have to senselessly die before we come to our senses? Common sense, gun safety now. With that, the County Executive and dear friend Jim Tedesco.
Thank you, Governor. Good morning, everyone. I'm Bergen County Executive Jim Tedesco, and I'm honored to be here at Hackensack Fire Headquarters. And I'm also honored to be here with Governor Murphy, Lieutenant Sheila Oliver, Congressman Josh Gottheimer, many first responders, many other elected officials, as they announce the allocation of $10 million in American Rescue Recovery Act funds for local and regional fire departments here in New Jersey. As a firefighter for over 46 years and a two-time fire chief, I know how important it is to make sure our first responders have the funding and tools necessary to do their jobs effectively. Having the backs of our firefighters and first responders is so important, and that's what elected officials should focus on. Today, you will hear that focus. You will hear about how this state, this governor, this congressman, the county of Bergen is focused on the safety of our first responders. First responders should always be the first ones protected. During COVID, the strain on the mutual aid community and all of us was dire. The system was strained and pushed to the brink. But as always, the firefighting community and the first responder community stood tall. The announcement which you'll be hearing about shortly assists in that goal-making, making sure that our fire departments have proper fire protection, equipment, it's clean, and it's sanitized. The commitment that our elected officials have to the firefighting community makes me feel real proud to be able to stand up here and be able to say, not only am I a brother and sister of all of you, but I'm an elected official that cares about you. It's now my honor to introduce the governor of the state of New Jersey, Phil Murphy.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you for those great, powerful words. This is not abstract for you. You've lived this, and you will continue to live it. Honored to be with you. And what a treat to start the week in Hackensack with this city's bravest. Again, Jim, thank you for the introduction and welcome, and thank you for your many years of fire service to the residents of your hometown of Paramus. And it is an incredible honor to be standing alongside so many tremendous firefighters. But I must acknowledge up front these tireless leaders and advocates for all of our state's firefighters. We have President of the New Jersey Professional Firefighters Association, Steve Mcconnell, is with us today. Standing in for his president, Eddie Donnelly, New Jersey Firefighters Mutual Benevolent Association, Northern District Vice President Kyle Hughes is in the house. President of the New Jersey State Firemen's Association, Robert Ordway, is with us this morning. But it is a particular treat to welcome back to New Jersey the General President of the International Association of Firefighters and a dear friend, Ed Kelly. Ed, great to have you back. Now, Ed hails from Boston, as I did before Tammy and I made New Jersey our home more than 2 decades ago. So, Ed, I have to give you 2 pieces of advice. As we discussed out front, any discussion about sports should be private. There's absolutely no good that can come from any public comments about sports. And secondly, it's perfectly okay if you decide to pull up stakes and move to New Jersey. We've done it. It worked out great. There's simply no better place to live, and we'd love to have you with us. But again, let's hear it one more time for Ed Kelly. Ed, great to have you. We have a cavalcade of great leaders here today, including incredibly honored, as always, to have Congressman Josh Gottheimer by our side. Josh, great to have you, man. Thank you for your leadership. My partner in government, the one and only Lieutenant Governor, and importantly today, wearing her hat as the Commissioner of the Department of Community Affairs, Sheila Y. Oliver. Sheila. So a comment to each of them. Josh, allow me to say that the announcement that we're making today would not have been possible without your support on Capitol Hill. to bring home the federal funds our state not only needs, but deserves. So thank you. And to you, Sheila, not everyone realizes that the State Division of Fire Safety works under your leadership, the Department of Community Affairs. One of the first things I was proud to do when I became governor was to give this division the leadership it needed and deserved, and fulfill my promise to name a firefighter to the position of State Fire Marshal. So is Rich here? Where are you, Rich? With us there he is, Fire Marshal and Director and dear friend Rich McCutsky. Love you, man. Rich is also, as Kyle knows, a former FMBA Vice President, so he knows the issues facing our firefighters better than anybody in Trenton. Great to see you, Rich. We have Assemblywoman Shama Hader is here. Shama, honored as always. You made history a few months ago, and it's an incredible honor to be with you. Commissioner Mary Amoroso. How are you, Mary? Great to see you. I don't see any of your other colleagues here, am I right? You're waving the flag on behalf of the commissioners? Two to your left, thank you for hosting us. Hackensack Mayor John LaBrosse and many members of council and your team. John, great to be with you. And to each and every one of you, it's an incredible honor to be standing with you this morning. So with all that being said, let's get to the heart of the matter for why we're here. I'm incredibly proud to announce a $10 million grant program to ensure that our firefighters have the proper personal protective equipment that they need to stay safe while on the job in firehouses just like this one. As its name implies, our American Rescue Plan Firefighter Grant Program, that's a mouthful, is supported through $10 million of American Rescue Plan funds that Josh and his colleagues fought so hard to deliver for us. And through this program, which will be administered through the Department of Community Affairs Division of Local Government Services under Sheila's leadership, we're going to provide competitive grants for up to $75,000 to local and regional fire departments for fire protection, cleaning, and sanitization equipment. These funds will help cover a host of needs, whether it be basic PPE needs and advanced cleaning equipment to ensure our firefighters stay healthy while in the firehouse, or toxic, chemical-free turnout clothing ensembles and helmets, hoods, gloves, and boots that firefighters need when they are called on to protect themselves while they are protecting our communities. And Jim mentioned this, we know how hard the pandemic was on our firefighting community, including the countless departments who rely primarily upon the service of volunteers, who quite literally drop everything at home to get to the firehouse when a call comes in. We know the stress that all of you were under each and every day, not knowing what you might be up against on a call while simultaneously, and this goes for everybody, worrying about the health of your own families. So one of the aspects of this grant program is that we're going to try to ensure that our volunteer departments are given a high priority with these funds. And another aspect is that we're going to also look out for the departments in communities which bore an outsized burden throughout the pandemic. There's really no other way to put it. Our firefighters always stand tall for all of us, but perhaps never so tall as during the dark times of the pandemic. So now we're going to return that favor. And let's also note that this grant program is yet another way we are stepping in to help out local property taxpayers and make our communities more affordable. When you think about it, every dollar we can deploy from either the state or federal funds is a dollar that stays in the pockets of local property taxpayers. I am proud that this $10 million investment in the men and women who protect our communities can be made available. But I know, and I know Josh agrees with me, that there was more that Congress could have delivered. Back in November, Josh and the rest of our Democratic House delegation voted for $95 million for our firefighters that was included in the so-called, at that point, Build Back Better bill. Funds specifically targeted so firefighters nationwide could get new equipment free of toxic PFAS, a known cancer-causing chemical which have been used for years to waterproof turnout gear. Obviously, some of the on Capitol Hill put partisan politics before the needs of our firefighters. But Josh, I want to thank you for supporting that bill and for supporting always our firefighting community. And I know you're going to keep fighting, because I know who you are, to bring back our fair share from Washington so we can invest in our communities right here in New Jersey and in the women and men who serve them so well and so selflessly. And to every single firefighter here today, on behalf of all of us, I say thank you. Thank you for your tremendous service. Thank you for being role models for your communities. And thank you for holding up our strong Jersey values each and every day. It is now my pleasure and honor to turn the microphone over to my partner in government, the Lieutenant Governor and Commissioner of the Department of Community Affairs, Sheila Y. Oliver. You good?
Good morning, everyone. First of all, I just have a few brief things to say, but I definitely wanted to be here today to thank the governor for making the grant announcement that through our Division of Local Government Services, we will be able to administer a grant program to support applicants for these grants across the state. Governor, there could be no better use of American Rescue Plan money than what you're doing today. So thank you very much. And to Congressman Gottheimer, thank you so much for always down there in Capitol Hill batting away for us. We appreciate it. It's always great to be in the kingdom of Bergen County, Executive Tedesco. And of course, I call it the Kingdom of Bergen because of all the municipalities that are located here. I also want to take the opportunity to thank Rich McCutsky. As you know, Rich is the director of our Division of Fire Safety and our State Fire Marshal. And when we first started in the Murphy administration, and I would have different division director meetings, when I would meet with Rich's group, I came to admire the shirts that they wore. I am all about fabric and how things are made. And I could not understand how these firefighter shirts were so white, how they had that stiffness in the fabrication, and I commented that to Rich. Well, I want you to know that I am the owner of a New Jersey Division of Fire Safety whole outfit. I want you to know that. And Rich, and I even have a badge. And Rich, I started to come dressed up today, but I said, no, that would be overkill. So, but I do want to thank Rich for all that he does. I also want you to know, as firefighters, that you have someone that is an advocate for you in the Department of Community Affairs. Rich McCutsky and his crew, they are always, always, always on your side with issues that come up as it relates to fire departments across the state. The other thing I'd like to say is, first of all, beautiful building. I want to say that. I don't know if it's true. Is it true that firefighters really do cook? And you guys got like a competition, and that is really true? Okay, well, I can. Thank you so much. And I know that our facilities are important to our fire departments, but nothing is more important than that personal gear, the chemical things that are required to get yourself cleansed off when you are in those hazardous situations. And unfortunately, you know, in New Jersey, in some of our communities, we have a lot of older housing stock. Stuff that was built a couple hundred years ago in some communities. We know about hazardous products now. We didn't know about them back then. And our firefighters are exposed to a great degree when they have to go into a building and do what it is that they do best. I think in New Jersey, we learned this best going back 20 years ago plus, when we dealt with 9/11. I think 9/11 taught us what firefighters subject themselves to each and every day, and when they go to work every day, they never know what they're going to encounter. So I just want to thank everyone in the fire service for all that you do. know that you are appreciated in your communities. I hear so much from public safety officials all across the state, often feeling that people in your communities don't appreciate what you do. They do, because you're the first one they call. 911, it's fire, it's police, it's EMT. So we owe a debt of gratitude for the work that you choose to do. And I know in working with Jacqueline in local government services, we often try to ameliorate differences between, your local officials and you, because sometimes you guys are on different sides of the equation. But at the end of the day, I just ask everyone in communities to recognize that you are the first ones to run into a burning building, nobody else, and you put your life on the line. So let's give our firefighters what they need. And in closing, I too would. In closing, I just too, as the governor made reference prior to the start of this press conference, say that New Jersey definitely stands with the people of Buffalo, New York. Thank you.
Amen to that, Sheila. It's hard to believe when you and I first got in office that the position that Rich holds was empty.
It was, for 8 years.
For 8 years? How's that happen? Thank God you're doing it, Rich. And to you and all your colleagues, Lenny and the rest of the team, thank you for everything. What mentioned him several times, we wouldn't be here today unless we had literally a bulldog fighting for us in Washington, and there's no one who fights better than your congressman. Please get it up for Congressman Josh Gottheimer.
Gov, thank you very much. Thanks for bringing the smaller podium for me today. I appreciate it. Seriously, thank you very much. And Lieutenant Governor, it's wonderful to see you. Assemblywoman, and our great county executive and firefighter, Jim Tedesco, our commissioner, Mary Amoroso, Mayor, thank you, and the council for welcoming us into the community as ever. I want to make sure that I recognize our International Association of Firefighters General President, Ed Kelly, who's become a great friend. Ed, thank you so much. I will talk sports, and this is Yankees town. I just want to be clear about that. And if you want to move and root for a real team, you let me know anytime. Ed would take me out in like 30 seconds flat. It would be pretty. Kyle, thank you so much, and to Eddie for all you guys do at FMBA and for being such great friends. And Steve, thank you so much, Mcconnell, for all you do for the state. And I do want to give a round of applause to all of our firefighters, our EMTs, all law enforcement who are here, and our veterans. God bless all you. Everyone give a round of applause. And I joined Sheila and the Gov in expressing my deep outrage of this weekend. And I mean, just adding to the heartache, as you point out, but outrage, Gov, as you pointed out, is the way to react here. You know, we're all here, of course, to thank our brave first responders for everything they do to keep us safe in our community, our country, not only from fire, but also from terror and other perilous threats to our homeland that they run into every single day, including what they all did through the pandemic to help us through it and through the height of it. Helping others has always been the motivating force of our heroic firefighters. They run directly into the fire, literally, and to danger when others are running out. And because of that, we must always get your backs. It's pretty simple. And that's exactly why we're here today, to protect you so you can do what you do every day and protect us. I couldn't be happier that we're all together with the Gov and elected officials and first responders and our great union leadership here in the best congressional district in the state. Governor, I'm glad you came here to announce this. It's $10 million in new federal investment that we're clawing back from Washington for Jersey firefighters. This critical investment will not only help our communities and our families and brave first responders, but as the governor said, it will also help lower our property taxes and make life more affordable for our families and our towns. You know, years ago, my first event as a member of Congress was actually at a firehouse in Teaneck, not too far from here. And as I had during my campaign, I listened intently that day to what the firefighters told me what they needed to protect themselves and to protect our families, and I went to work. My first day on the job, of course, urging with Bill Pascrell, our great congressman from next door, I asked to join the Congressional Fire Services Caucus. First day. Since then, like they do for us, I'm proud to have fought tirelessly for legislation that supports our first responders, including the bipartisan Firefighter Cancer Registry Act, the Michael Lessick Military Firefighters Protection Act, the Never Forget the Heroes Act, the permanently authorized the September 11th Victims Compensation Fund, and the Public Safety Employee-Employer Cooperation Act. And just last Wednesday, in Congress, we all got together and helped pass the bipartisan Federal Firefighters Fair Act through the House of Representatives. Now it's time for the Senate. Legislation I co-sponsored, guaranteeing our firefighters have access to critical disability and retirement benefits they deserve after putting their lives on the line for us. Least we can do, right? You were there fighting. Here in Jersey especially, we always stand in the shadow of 9/11. You can't walk into a firehouse and not think about it. You know, we lost 750 New Jersey souls that day, and so many since, including 2 out of this firehouse, since 9/11 from the effects. And I know another one last year. Nationwide, this year alone, we've already lost 44 firefighters, including, sadly, 1 on-duty death in our state. Our firefighters put their lives on the line every day for each and every one of us, so it goes without saying that we must do everything we can to protect them and to honor the fallen. It's why we've also fought so hard for the 9/11 Victims Compensation Fund, the Assistance for Firefighters Grants, or AFGs, the Staffing for Adequate Fire and Emergency Response, known as SAFER, and 1033 Surplus Program. And today, as you heard, working with the governor and lieutenant governor, and our state and local federal officials, we're clawing back even more federal dollars to our local fire departments here in Hackensack and for our smaller volunteer departments where resources are even more stretched. As the governor said, the new American Rescue Plan Firefighter Grant Program claws $10 million in federal dollars back from Washington for Jersey fire departments to protect our communities, our families, and our fire departments. This new investment was made possible by the Federal American Rescue Plan that Congress passed last year. It will award up to $75,000, as the governor said, to eligible local and regional fire departments in Jersey to purchase equipment including oxygen packs, PPE, protective clothing and turnout gear, and cleaning and sanitizing equipment. It's particularly helpful to departments with stretched operating budgets and large numbers of volunteers. And we must work with all of our departments, and believe me, you talk about a bulldog, those 75,000 you're giving out to departments, don't worry, you're going to hear from me every day. I got a long list already for our departments who want in line on that. Because in the 5th District, whether that's helping fire departments, EMTs, law enforcement, and beyond, we are actually up 112% since 2016 here in the 5th District for what we've clawed back for our firefighters, for our cops, and for our communities. From the moocher states, who take far more than they give, it's time Jersey got it. And as you said, Governor, to live up to our Jersey values here, we need to make sure we fight to get what we deserve back, to make sure we relieve the tax burden on our communities, make sure we lower those property taxes, and do everything we can to do it. And we've clawed back $5.3 million in AFG grants since 2016, including $510,000 for Hackensack, Englewood, and Teaneck, where they've done a joint program for rapid training, $945,000 in SAFER and other fire department grants to help departments attract and retain firefighters and volunteers. Plus, always looking out for our cops as well. We've gotten $2.77 million to help our cops program. That's to hire new police officers in the 5th. And working very hard right now, as you know, to get out the resources through the bipartisan infrastructure bill that we passed at the end of last year to help improve our roads, bridges, water infrastructure, Jersey Transit, and help build the Gateway Tunnel. All these things make our communities stronger. It reminds people why we got to stay in Jersey, right? Always stay in Jersey because we've got the best communities here. I'm not going to, no knock on your place. I'm also continuing to fight for our local police departments in Congress with my bipartisan bicameral Invest to Protect Act, which makes targeted investments in recruiting and retaining the best talent, training and safety, and body cameras and mental health for our police officers. Because our first responders work together to protect us, and we got to look out for them. We need to make our communities safe. We need to fund, not defund law enforcement, and make sure we look out always the same way we do for our firefighters. These issues, taking care of our firefighters and cops, they're not Democrat or Republican issues. They're just what's good for America and good for Jersey. And that's what this is about. What's good for our communities, to make life more affordable. Because I know working together here in the greatest country in the entire world, like we're doing today, our best days will always be ahead of us. So thank you so much for welcoming me out as part of this announcement, Gov. It's a great place to make the announcement. You know, thank you for fighting for our Jersey values together and for supporting our great communities. God bless you. May God bless our troops and first responders. May God continue to bless and watch over the United States of America. Thank you.
Awesome, Josh. Thank you again for fighting so hard to get the resources that we need across the board, and specifically as well for why we're here today. I thanked Mayor John LaBrasse for hosting us. I should also thank, as Jim Tedesco reminded me, the Hackensack Fire Chief Tom Freeman for hosting us today. Where are you, Chief? Thank you. Thank you, sir. It takes a fellow chief to remind yours truly that I apologize for not doing it earlier. Great to see you, and thank you again for hosting us. She made history in November, and she's already off to an extraordinary start as one of the assembly members in the 37th Legislative District. Please help me welcome Assemblywoman Shama Hader.
Good morning, everyone. I'm honored to represent District 37, so welcome to my district. Wonderful to see everybody here. Governor, thank you for coming to the city of Hackensack. I'm sure the mayor is very proud of that, to announce the American Rescue Plan Firefighter Grant Program and what it means to the health and safety of our fire departments. Saying thank you is not enough. Saying thank you to our firefighters is not enough. We need to invest in our fire departments and those who serve in them. The men and women of our fire departments risk their lives each and every day to protect the people of New Jersey. On the worst days of our lives, these men and women literally run into the fire to save us. This newly implemented grant program will ensure that our firefighters are properly protected, not just from the fire, but from COVID-19 virus as well. The pandemic was challenging for so many, but our first responders truly represented what it means to be essential. We need to learn to live with this now and protect our first responders from being exposed. By providing equipment, in addition to establishing a supportive role for mental and physical health concerns, we can do our part in taking care of our firefighters and saying thank you. I'm proud to be part of a government which recognizes the importance of firefighters in our community. I'm grateful that we have this opportunity to better support and equip them for the tremendous and vital work they do. Thank you to all our firefighters, and I thank you all for being here for this very important announcement. Thank you.
Shama, thank you. So well done and so well said, and you're off to an incredible start. So honored to be with you today. So we've referred to Ed several times today. He's got one of the biggest, most important positions in the firefighting community in the United States of America as president of the International Association of Firefighters. It's already been established that he's a Boston guy. He's become a very dear friend over the past many months, and it's a real treat to welcome you and have you in New Jersey today. Please help welcome President Ed Kelly.
Thank you very much, Governor and Madam Assemblywoman. I thought I had a cute accent, but then I heard you know. But it is absolutely great to be here. It's a great day for New Jersey. And I, as the Governor mentioned, have a pretty important job. See, I took an oath to represent 327,000 firefighters and paramedics throughout North America that put their lives on the line every single day. And my job, first and foremost, is to get them home safe at the end of a tour and healthy at the end of a career. That's a challenge and a very inherently dangerous job, in fact, calling like firefighting. The only path for my success in this position is to have champions in government who don't just provide lip service, but actually support firefighters. And you're really blessed here in New Jersey with leadership like Governor Murphy, bold leadership that doesn't just talk the talk, who walks the walk. And he has a great team around him, obviously. You can see it. You can see it with Lieutenant Governor Oliver, the county executive who knows a thing or two about crawling down a smoky hallway, who understands every bit the risks we take and the hazards that come with that job. And one of the places that, as the challenges of the fire service change, and we need to grow to meet that change, to meet whatever challenges the citizens we took an oath to protect face, the role of our federal government is becoming more and more prevalent. And Congressman Gottheimer, who I can tell you right now is at the forefront of every issue we have, every issue, whether it's firefighter safety or fairness in how we govern. He's there for us every step of the way. And I think as we come here and join together to announce a great, bold initiative using the American Rescue Plan funding to make firefighters' jobs safer, it's only fitting that we come here to Hackensack, New Jersey. And I want to thank our president, Steve Mcconnell, who is the president of the Professional Firefighters of New Jersey, as well as our local presidents, Justin Bignonia and John Hines from here in Hackensack, and Chief Freeman for welcoming us to this firehouse. It's very fitting because in 1988, 5 Hackensack firefighters slid down these very poles and responded to a fire at Hackensack Ford. And has happened so many times in the history of the fire service. They went out these doors and never came home. They gave their lives for the citizens of Hackensack. Just like those that followed in their footsteps, that are working on these very trucks today, Engine 4 and Rescue 1. When that bell goes off, we'll be going out these doors. It's only fitting that we recognize the investment that's being made in their health and safety. The number one killer of firefighters today is cancer. It ravages the fire service. This money, this $10 million that will be issued out in grants to individual departments will go a long way towards doing things like buying second sets of bunker gear, which isn't a luxury. Look at this gear behind me. When you go to a fire, that gear inevitably gets exposed to carcinogens that infuses into that material, and we bring it back with us. And we re-expose ourselves time and time again when we go out the door wearing that gear. This grant money will go towards buying professional cleaning machines designed just for that purpose, to extract those carcinogens off that bunker gear. It'll go towards replacing things like our gloves and our hoods that we wear that face the same challenges of being infused with those carcinogens and then re-exposing us. That's the difference that this grant money will make. This will move the needle in reducing the effects that the threats against firefighters like carcinogens pose. Simply put, this is the right thing to do. It's the right thing by the people who took an oath to give their lives for the people of their communities. And I'm going to close. I'm going to say this not because he's a Red Sox fan, but Phil Murphy governs with compassion. He governs with heart. He governs with courage. Everything we have to muster as firefighters when we go out the door, and we'll be well served to channel that governance across our great country. Thank you very much, Governor, for all you've done. God bless you.
Let's hear it one more time for a great leader, Edzo Kelly. Ed, thank you so much. And by the way, you didn't mention it, but you did privately. I hope it's okay to say it. There was a firefighter nexus to the tragedy in Buffalo, and you'll be headed there over the next couple of days, right? So God bless you, and God bless all your colleagues. Steve's been mentioned a couple of times by myself, by Josh, by Ed. He is the president of the Professional Firefighters Association of New Jersey, and he's another outstanding firefighter and labor leader. Please help me welcome Steve Mcconnell. Steve. Love you, buddy. Good day, man.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you. First and foremost, thank you, Governor Murphy. I think it's been said how many times. I don't know what I got left to say because with so many great speakers. But I'll do my best. Congressman Gottheimer, Assemblyman Hader. We had a conference last week, and I didn't even know you were going to be here today. But we had a wonderful teleconference. And Jim Tedesco, I just met you today in person. I obviously heard your name thrown around many times, and it's a pleasure to meet you in person. And I want to thank Ed Kelly, our General President, for making the trip. He's obviously between Boston and D.C. He's got the busiest schedule of anybody I know, maybe second only to the governor. But every time we ask him to come to New Jersey, he shows up, and we get stuff done, and I'm glad he's here to share in that. And I also want to thank the Hackensack brothers and sisters. Chief Freeman, I appreciate it. To the union leaders, and Justin Deravaniak, who was my contact here. This is a tedious process to put this stuff together and to work on the governor's schedule. He's a very busy man, and to get things done and pinpointed and down to the last minute. I thank them all. And I can't forget our Lieutenant Governor Sheila Oliver. I'm sorry, I almost jumped over you there, for all that you do. But I'll say this. Every time we've met with Governor Murphy, whether it was an ask or just a conversation, he's been there. And I'm gonna let everyone in on a little how this all came to be today. The governor asked to sit down with myself, General President Kelly, and it was very informal rather. And we're talking sports, a lot of Red Sox, a lot of Celtic stuff. I'm not a big basketball or baseball fan. I'm a hockey fan, coincidentally, and Rangers, not even a Devils fan. And all right, great. We're sorry Boston didn't make it, but we'll be. My point is this: when we got together and we had some cordial conversation, our issues came up. New Jersey's issues, the country's issues, and we put them all on the table. And I think we do our jobs as union leaders to let our elected officials know, and those in a position of power, our governor, our congressman. We go to them with serious issues, and we try to get results. And I can say, in my tenure as president and prior to this as the legislative vice president, we've gotten more done under this governor's administration than we have, obviously, in the last 8 years. I won't even go down that road with the last guy, but with many governors before him. And that's a testament to Governor Murphy and his ability to work with the fire service as a whole. But when we met and talked about some of the issues, I have to say, within a half an hour of leaving that meeting, we got a phone call. And where's Justin? There he is. Justin Brass. I got to thank him too, because these are the folks behind the scenes that never get recognized. And Justin is my go-to guy. I don't get a round of applause for him. But we never recognize the little guy. I'm going to make a point to do that for now. But Justin is a guy that calls me all the time, picks his phone up every time I call him. He's a great asset to us as well as the governor's office. But within a half an hour of meeting, we get a call, hey, we're going to look at some of this stuff. You know, as General President Kelly said, it wasn't just lip service. It was, you know, we had an intention, the governor heard us, and his staff acted on it. Not tomorrow, not 2 weeks from then, immediately. And by the next day, they were asking for data and resources and what, you know, how we can help make this happen. And I'll save you everything that happened in between, but that's what led us to here today. So I appreciate everybody on the governor's team, everybody from the IFF who helped us out handedly, and my team at the PFA&J. We worked hard on everything that brought us here today and everything prior to this. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention earlier this year, this governor signed a cancer screening bill, which was just something we've been striving for years. We put the legislation forward, and again, we don't need fanfare, we don't need hat tipping, but that's going to be something we see in the next few years that just blossoms, and we're going to, I think, set the benchmark for the rest of this country on cancer screening in firefighters. Congressman Gottheimer, I can't not mention you, so here's a little story, and he probably doesn't even remember this. So the first time we met him as a new congressman down in D.C., every February we go down for the legislative conference, we went in and we met him. He was very energetic. I said, man, we like this guy. And, you know, we kind of gave him who we are, what we do, you know, and he's like, I want to be that guy. I want to be the fire guy. We says, well, you can be. And so we haven't done it yet because this year kind of got screwed up with scheduling. Last year, COVID, we couldn't go down and have our conference, but he wants a helmet and he wants a plaque. So we have them. We're going to get them to you. We want to do it in D.C., but he wants to adorn his walls because I think a lot of the other New Jersey congressmen have, but to his credit, again, this is another elected official that we go to, and we have the luxury in New Jersey to have a congressional delegation that is 100% pro-fire, pro-labor, and pro-emergency services, and that it's truly helps us tremendously when I go down to D.C. and we have our legislative conference and I have to go ask for something. It's never an ask. It's simply just a thank you for already being there. And that says a lot about our delegation, especially Congressman Gottheimer. And this year we were down there. We couldn't make our schedules work. He did. And that was the funny part because my office manager tried like hell to make it, you know, it just couldn't work. We have appointments already set. So we actually showed up at the IFF breakfast we had. And I get a call from the GP, hey, you better get down here, your congressman's here. I says, I got an appointment, I got to be at 10 o'clock across the way at the Capitol. So nonetheless, I just want to say his drive to be there for us and do the right thing is unrelentless, and we appreciate that very much. And finally, I can just say this. I know we're on a time clock here, and as anyone who knows me, I'll talk all day. But I just want to reiterate, last September, we had horrible flooding in this state. It wasn't planned. I was on duty that night, and I work in the city of Elizabeth, and we got hit pretty hard. We lost a lot of equipment. We lost an entire firehouse. We lost 4 people, unfortunately, who drowned in that flood. And again, unexpected. And I got to tell you, before 6 in the morning, I got a call from the governor's staff asking me, what do I need? How is everything? You know, is everything all right in Elizabeth? How about the rest of the state? By 9 o'clock that same morning, I got a call from this governor. And I think that just speaks to the character that he has and the responsibility that he takes for emergency services. This was right in the middle of our state being completely consumed by a flood the night before, and he still found the time to reach out just to say, hey, what can I do? What can we do for the fire service? I still didn't know what I was going to do yet because, we were reeling in my city, but it just goes to show the commitment he's made to the fire service. With that said, I think this $10 million grant, goes without saying, is absolutely warranted, it's necessary, and I think it will help every single firefighter in this state. After COVID, for 2 years, we were the people out there on the front line, getting on those rigs, answering the call, and we never took a day off. We didn't get to work from home. But it left a lot of our departments short, it left a lot of our members a little distressed, so everything and anything we can do to bring us back whole is appreciated. So with that, Governor Murphy, we appreciate it. Congressman Gottheimer, for your work in D.C., we appreciate it as well. And to my brothers and sisters out there on the front lines every day, getting on the rigs, getting on the ambulances, I can't thank you enough, because we truly are those that make it happen. Thank you.
Steve, thank you for your leadership, for your gracious words, and for your, not just words, but actions. You've been there consistently, representing your colleagues brilliantly. And another guy who does the same, here representing the FMBA, the Northern District Vice President, another terrific leader. Please help me welcome Kyle Hughes. Kyle.
Thanks. Good morning. These guys are pretty good. They handed me 65 pages to read, and these guys went off the cuff. It's an honor to speak this morning on behalf of more than 5,000 members of the NJFMBA and our president, Andy Donnelly, who was unable to attend. My comments could be wrapped up in 2 words. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. However, I'm going to keep this brief. There's just a little bit more I want to say. Every day in firehouses across New Jersey and where I work in Patterson, we're going out there and we're fighting fires and we're fighting floods and we're dealing with COVID and we do it without complaint. Our dispatchers, they do their very best to prepare for what we're responding to. Whether it's a chemical spill or downed wires or for any number of possibilities, we immediately put our training into action. Like almost every other aspect of our lives, COVID presented us with even greater challenges over the last 2 years. Despite this even greater risk, our members never wavered to their duties. And I'll say this without hesitation, that every firefighter across this state, whether volunteer or from any paid department, they put others before themselves time and time again. They refuse to back down in an emergency. I want to also pause for a quick minute in remembrance of firefighters we lost to COVID over the last couple of years. The 5 brothers from Hackensack many years ago, that because of that is a main aspect of our training throughout the fire service. Governor, when we first met you well before your name was on the ballot, you promised you'd always have our backs. So believe me, you're not the first candidate to make that promise. But you're going to, and so I know you'll forgive me if a bunch of us were a little bit skeptical, especially before the prior 8 years. I'm going to just give you a quick personal story about the type of people these grants are going to protect. We have two members in Patterson. One I was in the academy with, and the other is a mentor of mine. That actually, Bobby, many of you guys know here, who are battling cancer now. And we had a fundraiser for them last month to help them, to comfort them as they're going through their chemo and their trips into New York and everything else, to help their families who had to take days off work. We had a fundraiser for those guys. That night, those 2 guys agreed that they wanted to give the money back to buy protective hoods for our nearly 400 members. Those are the kind of guys that are out here, that fight fires and protect the communities. We always watch our own backs, so now that we have congressmen and governors who have our back, that makes us want to work even harder. I've already mentioned Patterson, and if you'll indulge me to take a second, I have to acknowledge another Pattersonian I know we're in your district, Congressman Gottenheimer, but my very good friend Bill Pascrell deserves a major shout out for everybody in the fire service. I remember when you... I know, and I was watching from that seat. Him and I are very close. And I remember when you decided to run, and we were at the TNA Firehouse, and that was one of the first things I said to you. I said, we need more champions in D.C. And we can't ask for a better one than Congressman Pascrell. I work in a building that bears his name. And I handed him a championship belt the day we did that. And we look forward to handing more belts out in the future. Thank you, Mr. Pascrell. You know, I don't want to spend any more time here. I said it would only need to be 2 words, and that's really all it is. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Great job, man. Good to see you. Stay safe. Kyle, thank you. Great words. As they say in Hollywood, it's a wrap. So on behalf of the county executive, the lieutenant governor, the assemblywoman, congressman, and Terry Tucker's in the house, extraordinary leaders like Steve and Kyle and Ed Kelly. I can't tell you what an incredible honor it is to host you in New Jersey. Come back anytime. The red carpet will always be rolled out for you. God bless you all. Stay safe, everybody. Take care.